The emergency room was loud and full of movement. Sirens wailed outside as nurses rushed in and out, calling for help. Blood stained the stretcher wheels. 2 teenage girls were rolled in, barely breathing, one with long blonde hair tangled with glass, the other with dark curls matted with blood. Doctors surrounded them quickly. One nurse shouted, "Both are critical." A doctor leaned over the charts. "Selina and Alina. Sisters." Machines beeped. A heart monitor screeched, then settled. Selina's leg was broken, head bleeding. Alina's chest rose slowly, ribs cracked, a gash on her forehead. Then the doors slammed open. Diane, their mother, ran in. Her makeup was smeared, hair wild. "Where are they?" she screamed. A nurse pointed. "Both girls are here, ma'am. We're stabilizing." But Diane ran straight to Selina's bed. "Oh God, my baby, my beautiful girl," she cried, clutching Selina's hand. A doctor turned. "Ma'am, we need to act quickly. Both daughters are critical." Diane looked over at Alina's body, lying still under white lights. For a second, her face didn't move. Then she said it, words that froze the room. "Save Selina. Forget the other one. Just save her." A nurse stopped mid-step, eyes wide. Another doctor turned, shocked. "Excuse me," he asked. Diane's voice shook. "Selina's the one with a future. Please, do whatever it takes." They didn't know Alina could hear everything. She couldn't speak or move, but her mind was awake, floating somewhere between pain and blackness. Her mother's words sliced through the fog like glass. "Forget the other one." Her heart rate jumped. The monitor beeped faster. A nurse rushed over. "She's crashing." Dr. Maxwell, who had been quiet, stepped forward. "We're treating both girls," he said firmly. "That's final." Diane didn't reply. She just held Selina's hand tighter and turned her back to Alina. Alina's eyes stayed closed, but tears slipped down her cheeks. In that moment, something inside her broke. Not her bones. Not her body. Before the crash, Alina's life was quiet. She was the kind of girl who sat in the back of the classroom, doodling in her notebook while everyone else laughed and talked. Books were her escape. She liked to draw, especially late at night when the house was silent. At home, no one really noticed her. Her sister Selina was the opposite. Loud, bright, always the center of attention. Everyone loved Selina, her friends, her teachers, and most of all, their mother, Diane. Diane always said Selina was the one with a future. She'd look at Alina and frown. "You need to try harder," she would say. "You're too quiet, too soft, too slow." She talked about Alina's weight, her clothes, even the way she walked. "Stand up straight. Look like you care." Alina's dad had been different. He died when she was 10, and after that, everything changed. He used to read her stories, kiss her forehead at night, and tell her she was special. When he was gone, Diane became colder, harder, as if losing him made her more bitter. And somehow, Alina always seemed to be the one who got blamed for things. Selina would break something in the house and say Alina did it. Money went missing from Diane's purse. Selina pointed at Alina. Diane never questioned her. Alina tried to speak up once, but Diane didn't even let her finish. "Don't lie. Be more like your sister." At school, Alina was better. She wasn't popular, but she had her space. And she had Jordan. He was her best friend, maybe her only real one. He was funny, patient, and never made her feel small. He liked her art, even asked her to draw things for him sometime. "You're talented, Al," he said once. "You just don't see it yet." Back home, things kept getting worse. When Selina got accepted into NYU, Diane threw a party. Balloons, music, a cake with "To Our Star" written in gold icing. The house was full of smiling faces. Alina wasn't invited to smile. Instead, she was told to set the table, refill drinks, clean up plates. She wore jeans and an old sweater while Selina twirled around in a shiny dress. When Diane introduced her daughters to a guest, she said, "This is Selina, our future lawyer. And that's Alina. She helps out." Alina stood there, holding a dirty tray, while people smiled and turned back to Selina. That night, Alina sat alone on the porch, sketching in the dark. She drew a girl sitting inside a glass jar, screaming, but no one could hear her. No one ever really listened. Not at home. She wasn't angry, not exactly. She was tired. Tired of trying to be noticed. Tired of wondering what she had done wrong. Why being herself was never enough. She told Jordan once, "I think if I disappeared, no one would notice." He looked at her for a long time. "I'd notice," he said. "And that would be enough." But it didn't feel like enough. Not with a mother who looked through her like glass. Not with a sister who wore smiles in public and knives behind closed doors. Still, Alina stayed quiet. She stayed small. She thought maybe, if she waited. It was late. The air was cold, and the sky was dark with no stars. The party had ended, and people were leaving. Selina was laughing, holding a red cup, clearly tipsy. Her eyes were glassy, and her steps weren't steady. "I'll drive," Selina said, grabbing the car keys. Alina frowned. "You've been drinking." "I'm fine," Selina snapped. Alina looked at Diane. "We should just call a cab." Diane sighed, annoyed. Stop being dramatic. Let your sister drive. Don't ruin her night. Alina hesitated, but Diane's stare was sharp. She followed Selina out to the car. The music was loud in the car. Selina turned it up, singing and texting with one hand on the wheel. Alina sat quietly, holding her breath every time Selina swerved. Her hands clenched the seat. Slow down, she said once. Selina rolled her eyes. Relax. Then, out of nowhere, Selina jerked the wheel. Was that a dog? She yelled. The car spun. Alina screamed. The world turned white, then black. There was a loud crash, metal twisting, glass breaking. Pain shot through Alina's body. Then nothing. A moment passed. Then sirens. Alina's eyes didn't open, but sounds came through. Voices, shouts, the rush of footsteps. She felt herself being lifted, placed on something hard. Cold air on her face. Lights overhead. Everything was slow, far away. Then, through the fog, she heard her mother's voice. Please, Diane cried. Please save my Selina. Don't waste time on the other one. Just save her. Alina wanted to move, to speak, to scream. But her body wouldn't listen. Her chest hurt. Her legs were numb. But her heart was racing. A machine beeped louder. Faster. A nurse noticed. Her vitals are spiking. Dr. Maxwell stepped closer. She's conscious. No, the nurse said. But she's reacting. Dr. Maxwell stared at Alina's face. A tear ran down her cheek. He made a decision. We're treating her. Now. Diane's voice faded behind them. Alina drifted again, but the words stayed with her. Forget the other one. That sentence didn't just break her heart. It set something deep inside her on fire. She knew now. If she lived, it wouldn't be because someone chose her. It would be because she chose to survive. Alina opened her eyes slowly. The room was quiet, white and cold. Machines beeped softly beside her. Tubes ran from her arms. Her mouth was dry. She tried to speak, but no words came out. She looked around. No flowers. No balloons. No one sitting beside her. Days had passed. She was alive, but alone. A nurse walked in and smiled kindly. You're awake, she said. I'll let the doctor know. Later, Dr. Maxwell came in. He looked calm but tired. You're a fighter, he said. There was a moment we weren't sure you'd make it, but you pulled through. Alina didn't answer. Her throat hurt, but that wasn't the reason. Her heart was heavy. Her mind kept playing the same words. Just save Selina. Forget the other one. A few hours later, Diane finally came. She didn't hug her, didn't even smile. You're lucky they bothered with you, she said, placing a paper bag of clothes on a chair. All this drama for what? Alina looked at her mother, really looked. Something had changed. Not on the outside. Diane still looked polished and put together. But inside, Alina felt the cold more clearly than ever. It no longer confused her. It made sense. She was never the daughter Diane wanted. Maybe never even loved. Diane left quickly after that. Alina lay in bed quiet, but her thoughts were loud. The next day, she heard voices in the hallway. The door to her room was slightly open. It was Diane talking to someone on the phone. Her voice was low, sharp. If only Alina had died instead, she whispered. Life would be simpler. Selina needs me more. Alina didn't cry. Not this time. She stared at the ceiling. Something inside her locked shut. But another part cracked open. That night, she asked the nurse for a notebook. She began writing. She wrote everything. What she heard, what she remembered, what she felt. Her hand shook, but she didn't stop. Every word was a piece of her truth. When Dr. Maxwell checked on her the next day, he noticed her silence. You don't talk much, he said gently. But sometimes, silence hides the loudest pain. She looked at him, unsure if she could trust him. But there was something kind in his eyes. He didn't rush her. After a while, she nodded slowly. He smiled. That's a start. A few days later, Jordan showed up. He stood in the doorway holding a small bag of snacks and a sketchbook. I thought you might need these, he said. Tears filled Alina's eyes. She hadn't cried when her mother left. Not when she heard those awful words. But seeing Jordan made the wall break. He sat beside her, quiet at first. Then she began telling him everything. About the crash. About what Diane said. About the years of being invisible. Jordan's hands clenched into fists. Alina, this isn't okay. You can't keep holding this in. You deserve better. She nodded. I know that now. He handed her a flyer. There's an art scholarship program. It's not huge, but they cover tuition and housing. You should apply. Alina stared at it. She'll never let me. You don't need her permission, he said. You just need your own. That night, Alina drew again. For the first time since the accident, her fingers found lines and shapes. She drew a girl standing in the rain with no umbrella, but she was smiling, holding her own light. Meanwhile, Diane was busy in Selina's room. She brought lawyers and reporters. She told everyone the city should pay for the crash. The road wasn't safe, she said. My daughter almost died. Alina heard the lies and felt sick. She knew the truth. Selina had been drinking. She had been texting. There was no dog. She wanted to tell someone. She needed to. but the fear held her tight. What if they didn't believe her? What if Diane turned everyone against her? What if it made things worse? She looked at her journal. It was filling up, page after page of her truth. One night she asked Jordan, "What would you do if you knew something no one else did, but it could ruin everything?" "I'd tell it," he said, "because living in fear isn't living at all." Alina didn't answer, but she started to think, to plan. Maybe the only way forward was through the fire, even if it hurt, even if it meant standing alone. The hospital's large meeting room was full. Doctors, nurses, hospital staff, and a few legal people sat around the long table. Selina sat next to Diane, dressed neatly, looking nervous. Diane looked calm, but her jaw was tight. Alina sat across from them, next to Dr. Maxwell. Her hands were cold. Her heart was beating too fast. She had never spoken in front of this many people before, but she knew she had to. A legal representative stood up. "We're here today to review the incident involving Selina and Alina Hart. There's a possible lawsuit being prepared by their mother, Mrs. Diane Hart, claiming unsafe road conditions caused the crash." He looked around the room. "Before we move forward, does anyone wish to speak about what really happened that night?" Silence. Alina stood up slowly. People turned to look at her. She took a deep breath. Her voice was shaky, but clear. "Selina was drinking that night. She had been at a party. She insisted on driving. I begged her not to. I asked our mom to call a cab." Diane's eyes went wide. "She said no," Alina continued. "She told me not to ruin Selina's night. So I got in the car." She paused. Her voice dropped lower. "There was no dog. Selina wasn't paying attention. She was texting. That's why we crashed." The room went still. Diane stood up fast. "This is nonsense. You're just jealous of your sister. You always have been." Selina looked down, her hands shaking. "I'm not lying," Alina said louder now. "I was there. I know what happened. I could have died. And when we got to the hospital, my mom told the doctors to save Selina and leave me." Gasps filled the room. A nurse put her hand over her mouth. Dr. Maxwell didn't move. His eyes stayed on Alina. Suddenly, Selina stood up, crying. "She's right," she said. "It's true. I was drunk. I was texting. I panicked. I didn't know what to do." Diane turned to her. "Selina." "No," Selina whispered. "I'm tired of lying." The legal rep nodded slowly. "Well, that changes things." He closed the folder in front of him. "In that case, there's no lawsuit. It was driver error." Diane looked furious. "You'll regret this," she hissed at Alina. But Alina didn't flinch. The head of the hospital stood next. "There's one more thing. We've heard from staff about the situation in the ER that night. Dr. Maxwell chose to treat Alina even after Mrs. Hart begged him not to." He looked at Dr. Maxwell. "Would you like to speak?" Dr. Maxwell stood. Alina was showing signs of life. Her heart rate spiked when her mother spoke. "I believed she could hear us, and I believed she deserved a chance to live, no matter what anyone said." He looked at Alina and smiled. "I don't regret that decision." More hospital staff nodded in agreement. After the meeting, a few nurses came over to Alina. One hugged her. Another handed her a small wrapped chocolate bar. "You're stronger than most adults I know," one said. Alina smiled for the first time in days. That night, back in her room, she looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time, she didn't see the quiet, forgotten girl. She saw someone brave, someone who told the truth, even when it scared her. A few days after the meeting at the hospital, Selina came to Alina's room alone. She looked nervous and unsure of herself. For once, she didn't act proud or better. She sat down on the edge of Alina's bed and kept her eyes low. "I'm sorry," Selina said quietly, "for everything." Alina didn't speak right away. She just listened. "I knew Mom treated you badly," Selina went. "I let it happen. I even helped sometimes. I thought it would make her love me more." Tears filled her eyes. But it didn't. It just made me hate myself. Alina felt a tightness in her chest. The words hurt, but they also felt real. "I'm not ready to forgive you," Alina said, her voice calm. "But thank you for being honest. That means something." Selina nodded, wiping her eyes. She stood and quietly left the room. News of what happened at the hospital started to spread. People in town who once praised Diane for being a strong single mother began to question her. Some neighbors stopped calling. Others gave her cold looks. Diane avoided the hospital now. She didn't visit Alina again, and Alina was okay with that. Once she was strong enough to leave, Alina made a decision. She packed her things and moved in with her aunt in Atlanta, her dad's sister. Her aunt welcomed her with open arms and warmth Alina hadn't felt in years. In her new room, Alina felt something she hadn't in a long time: peace. She applied to an art institute nearby, using drawings she had been working on secretly for years. Jordan helped her choose the best ones and even drove her to the interview. A few weeks later, she got the letter. She was accepted with a full scholarship. She cried when she read it, not out of sadness, out of pride. When it was time to move into her dorm, Jordan helped her carry boxes. On their last trip, they stood outside together, watching the sun go down. "You did it," Jordan said softly. "No," Alina replied. "I'm just getting started." They stood in silence. He reached for her hand, and she didn't pull away. It wasn't a kiss. It wasn't a goodbye. It was just a moment, full of truth and peace. Later that night, Alina opened her sketchbook. She started a new comic series. She called it Unchosen. It was about a girl who had always been ignored, always pushed aside, until she decided to choose herself. The gallery was quiet, filled with soft lights and gentle music. People moved slowly, stopping to admire the art on the walls. In one corner, a large drawing caught the eye of many. It showed two girls. One stood in the light, her face calm and strong. The other stood in the shadows, fading, almost invisible. Alina stood nearby, watching. A girl, maybe 17 or 18, stopped in front of the piece. She stared at it for a long time, her eyes wide. Finally, she turned to Alina. "Did this really happen?" she asked, her voice soft. Alina looked at the picture, then back at the girl. A small smile formed on her lips. "Something like that," she said. The girl nodded as if she understood. She walked away, still thinking. Alina stood there for a moment longer, letting it all sink in. The art on the walls was hers. Her pain, her truth, her voice. She walked out of the gallery alone, but her heart felt full. The night air was warm. The city lights shimmered. She wasn't invisible anymore. She had chosen herself. And that made all the difference. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching till the end. If Alina's powerful journey moved you, don't forget to like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. And of course, hit that subscribe button for more emotional, drama-filled stories just like this one. Your support means the world. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong and always choose yourself. Bye for now, everyone.